Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brain Tease. I'm your host, Rachel, and let's talk brains. So today we're going to talk about how listening to music affects your brain. And I am super excited for this episode because I, along with many of you, absolutely love music. I think that music is magical. Hearing your song at a party can transform the party from a good one to a great one. Listening to a song from your childhood can instantly transport you to an exact moment many, many years ago. Neuroscience can barely touch upon the magic of music, but it does bring to light why we love music so much. So first, we're going to talk about how listening to music is related to emotion and memory in the brain. And then we're going to talk a little bit about how music can be used as a form of therapy. So I think from personal experience, we know that music can improve mood, but how does listening to music work in the brain? So first, listening to music is associated with activation in an area that processes sound, known as the auditory cortex. So that's kind of straightforward. Interestingly, one study found that an area associated with pleasure and reward, known as the nucleus accumbens, is activated when listening to pleasant music. This region is usually involved or activated in sex, drugs, and according to this study, probably rock and roll too. Other music listening studies have shown that when the auditory cortex, or sound processing brain region, activates, emotional regions like the amygdala also activate. So this suggests that when we listen to music, we are also processing emotions. So are there any differences in the brain based on what type of music you listen to? One study found that listening to happy music, compared to sad music, was associated with less activation in regions of the brain associated with mind wandering. Yes, there are regions in your brain associated with when your mind wanders, specific regions basically dedicated to daydreaming. I think this finding makes a lot of sense personally because when I listen to happy music, all I can think about is cranking that bass up. But when listening to a sad, somber song, I definitely reflect and daydream or have my mind wander a lot more. So, can neuroscience explain why we associate music with specific memories? One study showed that familiar songs elicited more positive, vivid personal memories than less familiar songs. Also, in the same study, more familiar songs were associated with more activation in brain regions associated with autobiographical memory, or memory from your own life. So now that we heard about how music is relevant to emotion and memory, can music be used as a form of therapy? Further research needs to be done, but here are some interesting findings. So first, a lot of disorders like depression, anxiety, PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder are associated with difficulties in regulating emotion and also abnormal function of brain regions involved in emotion. So music as a form of therapy may be promising. A review of several studies of depressed patients showed that music therapy, in addition to usual treatment, was associated with improved depressive symptoms than just plain old usual treatment. Also, in the same study, music therapy was associated with decreased anxiety levels. Another study was done in patients with Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's disease is a neurodegenerative disorder that can affect many processes like language and memory. This was a really creative study. So in this study, the team created personalized playlists for each patient of music that the patient really enjoyed. And then patients listened to this music in the scanner. This study showed that listening to music, or this personalized playlist, overall enhanced how several regions throughout the brain communicated. This increased brain communication is especially beneficial in Alzheimer's disease since complex processes that require a lot of brain communication, like language and memory, are deficient. So, to conclude, I think listening to music is essential to the human experience, and I can personally attest to that because I went to Bonnaroo Music Festival. I don't want to be that girl, but yes, it did change my life. In that really strange utopia, I met people who saved up every year just to be in the presence of music. One person even told me that the festival was her happy place, her personal therapy. Music is an accessible mood booster. Neuroscience research has shown that a lot is going on in your brain when listening to music, which is really mind-blowing because usually when I listen to music, I just press play and call it a day. Listening to music is linked to activation in brain regions associated with emotion, pleasure, and personal or autobiographical memories. The potential for music therapy is promising, but more research needs to be done. I hope this episode showcases how beautifully the brain processes one of humankind's greatest creations, music. So anyway, no matter how your week is looking, I hope you are able to take some time to press play and rock out to some of your favorite jams. That's all for today. I'll see you next time on The Brain Tease. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and share. What have you always wondered about the brain? If you have an idea for an episode, feel free to message me at thebraintease.com or message me on Instagram at thebraintease.